But is it just a tale of him waiting too long to become
Exactly what
to
it
change his
is.
priorities, or becoming more
Exactly it.
aware?
Time. That's the one thing you can't have back, right? Um, a lot of things you can find your way back to. Time is something you can never have back. And, with professional athletes, as with probably, anything that requires talent and skill in performance, you have a window, right? A window of greatness. It's not going to last forever. That window maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years if you're a legendary athlete like LeBron James. But whatever that is, you have to really figure it out within that time frame in order to make the most of your talents and skills. And in his case, it seems like it took almost his entire career before he realized that his skill set, given his mindset, was probably going to be best served for a number two or number three.
In order to win a championship?
To win a championship, in
Yeah.
order to win at the highest level.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely scenarios where I think he definitely could have won as the one, a la like a Dirk Nowitzki with the Dallas Mavericks if the team was built perfectly around him. But you're right. I think ultimately, and this is the
I don't
question.
know. That's now this is a great question, and I'm not going to disagree with you
If he would
because
accepted his
I
role.
feel that's the beauty of this question. Like, what could have been? I mean, you just never really know. We can't make predictions in life on guarantee. I mean, we can only sort of really try to do the best we can. And I look at Carmelo, and now that you sort of see kind of the full scope of his career, I just don't know. I kind of feel like we know who he is. We've
Yeah.
known him for a while, and I think that even with the right situation, the right team, right, all of those things, the the mindset being what it has been, I think it would have somehow, some way, prevented him from achieving that ultimate goal as the guy in the number one position,
Okay.
having all the pressures and all the forces over the span of a regular season and deep playoff run, right? To be the last man standing at the end. I've come to realize, man, that people that are capable of doing that, they are few and far between. Like, it's not something that just is gifted to everyone. There's only a few Michael Jordan like figures that can go into combat.
Put the team on their back.
Right. Because there's so many different nuances to it in terms of the mindset, but they can really put the team on their back and go the full distance.
So let me get this straight. So you're saying his mindset was that I'm someone like a Michael Jordan. I'm going to put the team on my back. We're going to win with me having the ball in my hands, controlling the pace, being that ball stopping shooter. I'm going to have the ball at the last seconds, and we're going to win that way. And that wasn't going to be possible. And that also he couldn't adapt in his prime to be a type of Dirk Nowitzki who would take more of a be the alpha, but also take more of a passive secondary role, more of a
So
selflessness.
exactly.
He wouldn't be able to have that selflessness.
Tim Duncan is a great example too, right? He was not a primary ball handler. He left the responsibility to Tony Parker, but he was so steady, he was so solid
Mm-hmm.
as a rock. In all these other areas, his leadership shined through for the team in the big moments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on and on. We can't miss the opportunity to explain and really understand it, I think, for ourselves through the conversation. Why? Like, why Carmelo, even given the perfect situation, would likely have had the same result. And I look at it like this. So when you think about the Michael Jordan documentary, going back to that, there's a part of this whole like persona that he had that to me is so interesting. You talk about how mean he was, you know, how he treated, you know, other guys, and how, you know, he sort of dictated, you know, the practices and the game in such a way where he led by fear, right? He wasn't trying to be anybody's friend, he led by fear. And you had to be on his level. He was going to push you until he felt comfortable that you were someone that could compete alongside him on a championship run. So you ask yourself, well, why were guys like these grown men, in some cases even bigger than him, why were they willing to put up with this? Like, why were they willing to deal with this? Why did they allow him to be this guy, right? How did it come to pass that, you know, in these moments that they trusted in him to be that guy, right? It's because did you see that? Did you see like when they were in practice doing like the suicide runs? He was like by far like the fastest guy
Yeah.
in suicides, man, like just outpacing everybody. You could see the other guys just struggling to keep up with him. He was
Hmm.
having fun with just
Yeah.
killing dudes.
Yep.
Whenever you see that in your best player, man, that's scary. Like if you've ever been in team sports before, you know everybody knows the best player is when that guy is also like the gym rat
The first to
and
the
like the
gym, the
dude.
last to leave.
Oh my god, you're like, dude, that's just respect. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like he doesn't really have to be that guy. Like, you know, he doesn't have to be that guy to get the points. You know, to get the ball. He doesn't have to be
Hmm.
showing off in practice to be considered the best, but he's doing it to prove a point. These things matter. They make a huge impact on teammates. He was also one of the better defenders on the team, right? He was a guy that was going
Hmm.
to not be afraid to take on the other team's best scorer, right? While he also was his team's best scorer. So he's expending more
Yeah.
energy than anybody else, taking on more responsibility than anyone else. And these things matter to your teammates. These are the things that are going to ultimately bind your teammates to you in these big moments, earn their trust. And this is something that a guy, unfortunately, like a Carmelo, isn't bringing to the table.
Well, that's that communication piece. That's that connected piece. And in the same breath, that's also that intrinsic motivation. Michael Jordan, his motivation was winning. He valued winning above anything. He valued competition and winning competition above anything. That was his priority and his only priority. So that always rang true. And that showed up in practices. That showed up before practices. That showed up everywhere. So we can't, like we said before, you can't blame Carmelo for not prioritizing winning. So maybe he wasn't intrinsically motivated like that. Now we can't speak to whether he was more so motivated by different things. Maybe he was motivated by the money and the endorsements and the different things. Maybe he needed to have that intrinsic motivation in order to communicate more and connect to his teammates more effectively, to raise their gameplay, to become a champion. There's all these different
We
pieces.